Hi, this is Frank Buck, and this is the place to be if you want to get organized and make it look easy. Robert Barlow interviewed me as part of the Leaders Asset Summit. During this episode, we're going to give you 10 time management tactics that you can start implementing today. I hope you enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Leaders Asset. This is where we're gonna increase your leadership capacity, and we're also gonna reduce overwhelm. We're gonna do that through more effective planning and prioritizing. Today we have Dr. Frank Buck with us. Frank Buck, he's currently ranked #1 in the world by Global Guru's top 30 in the time management category. He's a public speaker, productivity coach, and author of Get Organized, Time Management for School Leaders, and Get Organized Digitally, the Educator's Guide to Time Management. Dr. Buck has spoken to audiences throughout the United States and internationally. His mission is to help busy professionals achieve total control over their time and the peace of mind that nothing is falling through the cracks. Dr. Buck's nuts and bolts approach, along with his blend of content and humor, has made him a favorite with audiences. So welcome, Dr. Frank.
All right, Robert, it is a pleasure to be here. I love talking about this stuff because, overwhelm, paper, digital, it's hitting us from all sides. And there are some simple things that we can do to kind of stay on top of that. And I'm looking forward to exploring those things with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. So we can dive right in. So I wanted to ask you, how does planning and prioritizing, how does that actually increase your leadership capacity?
Well, every good thing we do happens through the dimension of time. We've got those 24 hours in the day, and they're going to go by in 24 hours. So we can either have a plan for how those work, or we can sort of be like the grocery store clerk who just goes, next, I just handle whatever comes along next. And when we get to the end of the day, I guess we're done and we come back the next day. If you have a plan, things go a whole lot quicker.
Yeah, that's for sure. It goes quicker and just with a whole lot more intention, right? Like you say, instead
Absolutely,
of kind of floating through the day.
Mm-hmm. And it can happen, it can happen. Things just continue to show up. And what I found over the years is when you when you just handle whatever shows up, people bring a lot of stuff to you to handle because they know you'll just handle it then. If you're working on important work, they take that thing on down the hall to somebody else who's not doing anything quite as important.
Yeah. So that I understand it, are you kind of saying that planning and prioritizing can increase your leadership capacity, partly just because you're not reacting to everything else, and it kind of creates that space to do important work, and therefore
Absolutely.
capacity?
Yeah. You're approaching the day with a plan rather than just letting the day happen to you and then feeling bad about it, having that feeling of, oh gosh, people are just picking on me, nothing ever goes right. I never get the opportunities. Well, you've got the 24 hours. And I hope people come away from today realizing that we don't have another day to waste on trivial things and just letting the day go by and unfold as it may. It's our day to plan, and we can make it happen.
Yeah. So what planning and prioritizing principles do you personally live by?
Okay. I've got 4 of them that I want to share with you. First, trap things in your system, whatever that system is, as soon as they occur to you so that nothing is left to memory. So if I'm working on something important and something not important sort of lands on my radar, the tendency for a lot of us is, well, let me go do that thing where I can just get it done and get it off my mind. I'm all for getting it off your mind. Put it in your system and it's off your mind. You know,
Yeah.
since I was in college, I carried around a little pocket memo pad back in the days when everything was pencil and paper. And when that thing hit my radar, it was just opened it up, jot it down, put the thing back in your pocket. And I earned the right to forget about it. And the system was handling it for me. And then now it's something else that's in my pocket. It's
Yeah.
an expensive phone, but it's serving exactly the same purpose. The second is, if you really want to make it easy to put these things in your system, learn to input tasks with your voice. So going back to the phone that I've got, just a little widget on the home screen, tap the little microphone icon, call Jim on Thursday to talk about the XYZ report. Done. I can now forget about Jim and the XYZ report. On Thursday, it's going to be on my list. I'm not having to keep up with that in my head. And, you know, I've been doing digital things since the days of the Palm, and input was awful. I mean, the graffiti with the stylus, input was terrible. What's gotten better over the years is voice input. So the ability to, write an email with your voice, put in a task with your voice, that makes everything so much easier. Third, learn to recognize repeating tasks. And we all have those things in our life where we're doing those things every week, every month, every year. So you can just either leave them to chance that you're going to remember it at the right time, or put those tasks in your system and mark them as, repeating tasks. When does that task need to come back again? So you do the task, you check it off, it's done. It comes back the next time you need to do it. And if you really get all those repeating tasks in your life, in your system, you're probably going to have several hundred. Well, and of course, you had those several hundred already. They were
Yeah.
just on sticky notes, or you were trying to remember them, or your spouse was remembering them for you. There's just all over the place. And now, instead of being all over the place, it's all in one place. And fourth, do the thinking on the front end. So often we get into a project and we know the first thing and we know the second thing, but then something kind of slips through the cracks. The more you do on the front end, as far as what are the tasks, when do I want to do those individual tasks, where am I going to put the supporting information, and how will I know when I'm done with this? It makes life so much easier, and you can keep a lot of balls in the air. In my first book, there was a little statement, when your wife, who's proofreading your work, tells you, this is really good, it's good. And what she pointed to was something that said, a juggler is able to keep all the balls in the air because he knows how many he has. He knows the position of each one, and he gives each one the right amount of attention at the right time.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So, but
Oh,
those are the four things that I live by, that make every day easier.
so on that fourth one about doing things on the front end, the way I interpreted some of that, it was just the planning, kind of like having a plan for how you're going to execute different things. Is that kind of what you meant by
Mhm.
that?
Absolutely. And instead of, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Well, when it comes time to cross the bridge, the alligators are up behind you. So on the front end, push back, just, and one thing I write about is working ahead of deadlines, so that you're not always hitting things with a lick and a promise because you're just about to drop the ball on this deadline or that deadline. Work ahead of deadlines so that you can spend some time planning out a project. And I think the more time you plan, the more time you spend on planning, the less time you spend on execution, because the tasks are laid out, how to do it is laid out, the materials you need are laid out, the other people that you need to involve, you've already made those phone calls to get their input, and so you're not waiting to the last minute trying to invent these little tasks at the 11th hour.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. So what are the top 1 to 3 planning or prioritizing practices that you use daily, or and
Yeah.
or that you didn't already share or how they tie into
Sure.
what you were sharing?
I've got 3 of them to share with you. First is plan tomorrow today. Start tomorrow before you go to bed. You know, decide what is number one tomorrow going to be, instead of using first thing in the morning to organize your day. You know, to be able to sit down and see that task list and know exactly what number one is, or if it's paperwork, that thing you're working on is the one thing sitting right in the middle of your desk, it makes it easier to jump on that. If you start your day with email, you know, pretty soon it can be 10 o'clock and you've handled all these little bitty things, but you really haven't made the day count for anything. So, you know, start the day the evening before. Second, what I'm looking for the evening before is what I call my Fab Five. What are the 5 most important things for tomorrow? And I have those at the top of the list, followed by things I want to accomplish in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, so that I can really put on some blinders and really concentrate on those Fab Five. And if you leave the email alone and you let the phone roll to voicemail and you concentrate, it's amazing what you can get done in a short period of time when you're not interrupted. And for me, the early morning is the best time to get those things done while other people are still in bed, or other people are getting their cup of coffee, or while other people are kind of planning their day and looking at all the paperwork on their desk. And then third,
Can I interrupt you real
word,
quick with those Fab Five?
absolutely. Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask you about those Fab Five. Does that mean like your top 5 priorities? Is that what you mean by that, or is
Well,
that different?
top 5 tasks, and it might be something that is an urgent deadline. And usually what it is something that's going to really move the needle forward. You know, it's an important presentation I've got coming up, and I haven't done the slide deck yet. That slide deck's going to be a whole lot better if I get on it first thing in the morning than if I wait till 4:30 in the afternoon. Because then what happens is today rolls into tomorrow, that rolls into the next day, and then you're up the night before the presentation doing the slide deck.
Yeah, and a lot more
So
stressed out, right? Because you procrastinated it to the last minute.
absolutely. And we go, and I did it again. And you beat yourself up about, why do I let myself do this? And I'll never do it again. And then we do it again and again and again. And then word tasks so that they're clear and easy to do. You know, when I'm in live presentation, I say, if you've got 2 tasks on your list, solve world hunger and buy shoestrings. One is a whole lot more important than the other, but I guarantee you at the end of the day, shoestrings will have been bought, because
Yeah.
we know what they look like. We know where to get them. We know roughly how much they cost. We know how to install them. And solve world hunger, that's big and amorphous, and we don't even know where to start. So therefore, it just sits on the list. So when you look at some of the things on your list that have been hanging around for too long, look at, how can I break this down? How can I word this so that it will be easy? Because as humans, we do what's easy. So the trick is,
Yeah.
make it all easy.
Yeah, break it down into manageable tasks that you can do while you're
Absolutely, yeah.
sitting there. Or I just mean in a period of time, whether it's an hour or 2 hours versus this thing that's going to take 30 years or whatever, or your whole lifetime. So I interrupted you when you were talking about did you mention your third thing? You said there was.
I did. Yeah. The third
was
thing
the
was
third thing.
talking about wording things so that they're
Oh,
clear and they're easy to do. Yes. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, very good. So I wanted to also ask you, what's one small shift that you think our listeners could make today that would make a big difference if they actually did it consistently?
Adopt a digital task list. You know, we've talked about writing things down and paperworks, but so much comes to us digitally. Speed comes from being able to keep digital things digital. You've got copy and paste working for you. You've got search working for you. You have the ability to send information to others much easier when it's digital. And as you just saw, a few moments ago, you have the ability to input tasks with your voice. But making this thing really work it's going to take a little guidance. You remember when the Franklin Planner was the tool, and everybody who was anybody had the Franklin Planner or the day timer? And what did they do? They didn't just say, here's the book, now you're organized. It was the workshops that they offered to show you best practice. And we need the same thing. And so one of the gifts for everybody who is with us here is an ebook that shows you how to use Remember the Milk, which is my digital task list of choice.
Yeah. How can they access that gift?
Absolutely. Okay. The keys to the kingdom is my website, frankbuck.org. And so what you'll see right there in the middle, you can join the email list, and then it's just automated. You'll actually get 2 free gifts. The first one's paper. It's going to get your desk clean. And then the second thing that you'll get several days later is that ebook on how to set up, those little one-time setups that you're going to have with any piece of software, and then the strategy for using it so that you've got not only the tool, but the training that's going to make it happen for you. And it's absolutely free.
Yeah. That'll make a big difference. And that is one way to get it, like you pointed out, but there will also be a link. There's a link on the page that the listeners click on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just click that. Fantastic. Yes.
So I also wanted to ask you about email, because email, it seems to be a big part of a lot of people's workday. Mm-hmm. So how can we take control of our inbox so that it doesn't control us?
People love email and they hate email. We love email because it's so easy to send. We hate email because it's so easy for people to inundate us. I still believe it's the most efficient means of written communication that we have. For me, the big secret is to get that empty every day. Think about the metal mailbox in front of your house. You get it empty every day. Imagine the person that stands at the mailbox, reads the mail, and stuffs it right back in their mailbox. In a few days, they're totally out of control. We get it empty every day. And with your email inbox, when it's empty every day, then those few emails that are sitting in there all mean the same thing. These are decisions that I have not yet made, decisions about things that need to be done about that email, where that information needs to be put, who else needs to be included in that information. And, going back to the digital task list, one of the things Remember the Milk does is give you this little email where anything sent to that email address, any email sent to that email address goes right on your task list. So instead of rereading an email and getting 5 paragraphs into it and going, oh yeah, I need to call Jim, but he's out of town, I'll just leave this email sitting here. And 2 days later, you're reading it again, 5 paragraphs. You go, oh, I need to call Jim about this. Oh gosh, Jim was just here. I wish I'd have talked to him about this. No, the first time you look at the email, either handle it or forward it to that digital task list where you can pick a day that you want to handle that thing. And then everything you have to do is in one place. Just like decades ago, the person that had that paper planner, it was like, here's my whole life right here in this book. And now here's our whole life in those very few digital tools, a digital calendar, a digital task list, digital note system, those sorts of things.
So did you say that Remember the Milk, is that an actual app?
It is. Now, it's a, first of all, a website. If you go to rememberthemilk.com, that's where you can set up a free account. There's a paid version that gives you some more bells and whistles, but actually the free version is pretty powerful. And then just go to wherever you download your apps, and it's a free download for the mobile app, which is going to sync back and forth. So you're at your computer going at it with 10 fingers, or you're out and about and you've got everything right here, and you can add to it with 2 thumbs on a piece of glass, or my favorite, add to it with your voice, and it's all syncing back and forth. It's just too easy not to do.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and you talked about your task. You have a task list that's digital. What if you don't mind sharing, what actual app do you use for that? To keep, what app do you enter everything in? Is that Remember the Milk, or is that something
It
else?
is. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that is
Remember the
Remember
Milk.
the Milk.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yes,
I didn't know if that was tied with it or if that was actually it.
that is it. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, that's powerful, and you shared a lot of good strategies, a lot of good tips. You know, that I know that lots of times they sound simple. I mean, and they are, but the power is in actually doing it, right? You have to actually do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. When, when it's all here, instead of on little sticky notes, nobody's going to get up in the morning and go, well, gee, I don't see any little sticky notes laying around. Guess there's nothing to do today. No, it's all here and it's organized. So let's, pull it up on the computer or look at the app. There's the Fab Five. Let's get started on one of these first thing in the morning, get it knocked out, and already you're setting up your day for success. And the next thing you know, you've gotten through those Fab Five, and now you're cranking through some of the smaller things, returning phone calls, emails, all the little maintenance things about life, instead of getting to the end of the day and going, another wasted day. I worked hard, but I don't feel like I have a thing to show for it again.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. So I do a lot of the things that you were suggesting, but the one thing I haven't even looked into is that app of Remember the Milk. I'm going to look into that, and I hope all the listeners as well will look into that and look into a lot of the other things and check out Frank's his free gift. That'll
Absolutely.
be,
Yeah.
everyone look into that, and just because a lot of times it's just that one idea. If we just find one idea or one little practice, it has the potential to completely shift the way that we work, the way that we spend our time.
It can change your life. And I heard so many people back in the days when I was teaching paper planner stuff, because I've been doing this a long time. And the people that would listen to me talk about the paper planner and how to use it, it was like, you changed my life. This is so simple. And really all we're doing is taking the digital parallel of what we were doing pencil and paper. And it's easy. The only difference is we've been dealing with paper for centuries. This digital beast is relatively new for all of us. So we're all trying to figure this out. And as soon as we think we've got it figured out, we come up with new tools. And then we you got to figure those out. But good things are replaced by better things. It's a wonderful time to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure we could go on for a while talking about this, but I do appreciate you coming on the show, Frank, and sharing
your pleasure, believe me.
with us. It's been a good experience. And I want to thank all the listeners as well for being here and listening to this interview, and want to encourage everybody to keep an eye out for the next interview. There'll be lots of value there, I'm sure. So until then, we'll see you guys later.
Right. Thanks, everybody. And that's the show. Thanks for sticking around to the end. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and take a look at these two videos right over here. This has been Frank Buck helping you get organized and make it look easy.